All right, let's dive in. Today, we're going deep into ancient Chinese wisdom
Oh, yeah.
with the Yellow Emperor's Classic of Internal Medicine. Specifically, we're cracking open chapter 45 of the Spiritual Pivot.
Mm-hmm.
And trust me, this isn't just some dusty old medical text.
No, not at all. It's amazing how this text, thousands of years old,
Right.
can speak to something so fundamental about being human.
Yeah.
The interconnectedness of everything.
It really is. And,
You, the world, the cosmos.
that's like they had a cosmic telescope back then.
Yeah, it's all woven together.
So this chapter, observing the inner and outer states.
Yeah.
What's the big idea? Give us the TLDR.
Okay, so picture this. You have this ancient emperor. He's like a master of acupuncture.
Okay.
But he wants more. He wants like the underlying principle, the thing that ties it all together.
He wants to see the matrix.
Right. He's like, I got the needles down. Now show me the matrix.
I love it.
Yeah.
So what's the answer? What's this grand unifying theory of everything?
His advisor, Bo, he's a wise guy. He says, the principle the emperor is looking for, it doesn't just apply to acupuncture.
Okay.
It also applies to governing a nation,
Whoa.
like the human body.
Okay.
It's a microcosm of the universe.
Okay. Yeah.
So same principles are at play in both.
That's a mind bender for sure.
Yeah.
But if I'm the emperor, I'm thinking, interesting philosophy, but how does this help me run my kingdom?
Exactly. And Bo, he knows this.
Okay.
So instead of some boring lecture, he uses these really vivid
I
analogies.
love analogies.
Right.
Wait it on us.
All right. So he starts with the sun and the moon casting reflections,
Oh,
showing how things are connected, how the outer reflects the inner.
makes sense.
Then he talks about water and mirrors, faithfully reflecting images
Yeah.
to emphasize clarity, perception without distortion.
We're just pretty straightforward.
Yeah. And to wrap it all up, he uses this image of drums and echoes,
Oh.
cause and effect, immediate connection.
Boom. The drum sounds, echo responds.
Right. You hit the nail on the head.
So simple, yet so powerful.
Right.
I can picture the emperor just nodding along.
Totally.
And this idea of observing the inner and outer states.
Yeah.
This isn't just ancient history, is it?
Oh, absolutely not. It's something we can all use, even today.
Okay, now you're speaking my language.
Yeah.
Give us an example. How does this work in the real world?
I think about it this way. You're stressed out.
Oh, yeah, I know that feeling.
Right. So instead of just focusing on those external stressors, like your job, your to-do list,
Uh-huh.
you can also look inward.
Okay.
What thoughts, feelings, what inner state is adding to that stress?
So instead of just reacting to the world,
Yeah.
you're taking a step back and understanding how your inner world is shaping your experience.
Exactly. You got it.
That's interesting.
And, another example,
Yeah.
let's say you're always getting into conflicts with people.
Okay.
Instead of blaming them,
Yeah.
you can ask yourself, what's my role in this? What part of me might be attracting these conflicts?
So it's not about blaming yourself,
No, not at all.
but about understanding how your inner world is reflected in what happens to you.
That's right.
Okay, I see what you mean. And that awareness. Yeah. That can be really powerful because it means we can change things.
So it's not just observation, it's about taking action,
Yeah,
right?
exactly. You hit the nail on the head again.
And that's where I think we're heading in the next part of our deep dive. We're going to explore how this whole idea of observing the inner and outer states
Yeah.
can be a powerful tool for growth and transformation.
I'm excited for that.
Me too. I'm ready for more wisdom.
Let's do it.
Okay, so we've talked about observing our inner and outer states, but how do we actually use this ancient wisdom today? Like, what are the cheat codes?
That's the question, isn't it? Well, Bo, the emperor's advisor,
Yeah.
he explains how this principle works in different areas, starting with health.
Okay.
He talks about skilled physicians using what they observe, like a patient's pulse, complexion,
Oh, wow.
even their tongue coding, to understand what's going on inside. It's like they're deciphering a secret code written on the body.
Right.
So the outer signs are clues to what's happening inside.
Exactly.
Okay.
But it goes deeper than just physical symptoms.
Okay.
Bo says it's important to understand the patient's emotional state,
Oh, interesting.
their lifestyle, even their environment.
So it's like each person is a puzzle,
Right.
and these outer signs are pieces to help us see the whole picture.
You got it.
That makes sense. We talk so much about holistic health these days.
Yeah.
And it seems like this is where it all started.
Absolutely. And what's really fascinating is that Bo,
Yeah.
he doesn't limit this to just doctors and patients.
Yes. Okay.
He says it also applies to self-cultivation,
So like being able to observe our own thoughts and emotions.
Yeah.
Understanding our patterns.
Exactly. It's like having an inner compass guiding us towards growth.
That's powerful stuff, but how do we even start? Our minds are so busy, so distracted.
Well, Chibo uses the analogy of a mirror to describe the mind.
Okay.
When our minds are clear, we can see reality accurately.
Without distortions.
Right. But when our minds are clouded with distractions, it's like looking into a cracked mirror.
The reflection is all messed up.
Exactly. Fragmented and unreliable.
So how do we polish our mental mirrors?
That's where mindfulness comes in.
Oh, okay.
Taking time to quiet the mind, to observe our thoughts and feelings without judging.
So it's not about stopping our thoughts, but learning to watch them without getting carried away.
Exactly.
And the more we practice this, the better we get at recognizing those negative patterns, those beliefs that hold us back.
You got it. We can choose to let them go, like clouds passing by.
This is feeling less like ancient philosophy and more like a guide to leveling up in life.
Right.
It's like Thibaut is giving us a step-by-step guide.
I like that, a step-by-step guide.
And remember how the emperor was hesitant about this applying to governing?
Yes. Chibo makes it very clear.
Yeah.
He's saying the same principles for a healthy individual apply to a healthy society as well.
So just like we can use this to cultivate inner peace and well-being, we can also use it to create a more harmonious world.
Exactly.
I'm starting to see how powerful this concept is.
It is, isn't it?
Imagine a leader who governs with this in mind.
Oh, that's a great point.
They wouldn't just react to external events, but would understand how their own inner state, their decisions, their actions, all of that impacts everyone.
It's like a butterfly effect for good governance.
Yeah.
And just like an individual can make changes to improve their health,
Yeah.
the leader can do the same for society.
Wow. This is amazing. It's like we're exploring a whole new world.
It is exciting, isn't it?
But let's get real for a second.
Okay.
This all sounds great in theory, but how do we actually put this into practice? We don't have ancient advisors whispering wisdom to us.
That's a great question, and that's exactly what we're going to dive into in the last part of our deep dive.
Okay, I'm ready.
We'll explore how to integrate this principle into our daily lives. So it's not just a cool concept, but a lived experience.
Okay, this is getting good. Okay, so we've explored the theory, we've seen the potential, but how do we actually integrate this observing the inner and outer states into our lives?
That's the big question, right? The cool thing is it doesn't need any special rituals or anything.
Yeah, okay.
It starts with something we all do, paying attention.
So mindfulness, being present, all that.
Yeah, but I know what you mean.
Sometimes my mind is like a runaway train, thoughts all over the place.
Yeah.
How do we tame that?
Kibos uses this great metaphor.
Okay.
He says, imagine your mind is like a mirror.
Okay.
When it's clear, it reflects reality perfectly. But when it's clouded with distractions, judgments, all that,
Yeah.
the reflection gets distorted.
So it's not just about observing, it's about observing clearly.
Yeah, without all the mental baggage.
Right.
And that's where the practice comes in.
Okay.
Think of it like building a muscle.
Okay.
At first, sitting still, observing your breath, your thoughts, your feelings, it's tough.
Yeah, it can be.
But the more you practice, the stronger that muscle gets.
So it gets easier to create that space between our thoughts and our awareness.
Exactly. You're training yourself to be the observer of your mind.
Instead of being controlled by it.
Right. And as you cultivate that inner stillness, you start to notice things you missed before.
Like what?
Well, you might see patterns in how you react.
Okay.
Maybe every time your boss criticizes you, you get angry and defensive. Or every time you start a new project, you doubt yourself.
Okay, so by observing those patterns without judging them,
Right.
we can understand the connection between our inner state and what's happening around us.
Exactly. And that's the key.
Okay.
Once you see that connection, you can choose a different response.
Oh, interesting.
Instead of reacting with anger or self-doubt,
Yeah.
you can pause, take a breath, and ask yourself, what's going on here?
Yeah.
What's causing this reaction?
It's like hitting the pause button on autopilot.
Right?
Taking back control.
Exactly.
I can see how this can be a game changer. Not just for us, but for our relationships, our work, everything.
Absolutely. And remember Chibo talking about governing a nation?
Yeah.
It's like that, but for our own inner kingdoms.
So instead of reacting to the chaos outside,
Right?
we create peace and harmony within, and that spreads outward.
Exactly. Like Gandhi said, be the change you wish to see in the world.
It all starts from within.
It does. It really does.
This is inspiring, but I have to admit it's a little daunting too.
I get it.
We've got this map to a treasure, but the journey seems long and hard.
That's where the adventure starts.
I like that.
This is a lifelong practice, not a quick fix.
Okay.
There will be good days and bad days.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But the key is to keep going, keep practicing, keep observing with curiosity and kindness.
So it's not about being perfect, it's about progress.
Yeah.
And trusting that even small steps can lead to big changes over time.
Beautifully said. And that's what Chibo is telling the emperor. This ancient wisdom, this understanding of the inner and outer, it's a treasure we can cultivate our whole lives.
It's a gift that keeps on giving.
Exactly.
So as we wrap up our deep dive into this chapter,
Yeah.
what's the one thing you want our listeners to remember?
Pay attention to your thoughts, your feelings, your reactions.
It's okay.
Pay attention to the world, the people, the experiences.
Look for the connections.
Yes, the reflections, the ways these two realms are always affecting each other.
Waking up to the interconnectedness of it all.
Exactly. And it's not passive.
Right.
It's about engaging with life, making choices that match your values, creating a world that reflects your best self.
That's a great way to put it.
And on that note, here's a final thought.
Okay.
If the world reflects our inner state, what changes can you make inside to create the world you want to live in?
That's something we can all think about.
It is.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep asking questions, keep diving deep.
See you then.